The reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Are you ready for some heart-pounding action? It's tag team courtroom-style wrestling in Santa Maria, with MJ and Mesro in one corner and Mom and Grandma in the other. Hello, I'm James Curtis. Welcome to E's coverage of the Michael Jackson trial. Janet, the accuser's mother, entered the courthouse in her usual masked witness style, in stark contrast to Michael Jackson. When the gloved one arrived, it seemed like he didn't have a care in the world. He strolled in casually into that courthouse with his mother, Catherine, by his side. Now, inside, everything got real serious, folks. On redirect examination of Janet, the accuser's mother, Assistant District Attorney Ron Zonin tried to reinforce the prosecution's bad dad theory about David. David, of course, is Gavin's father and Janet's ex-husband. Here's how Gavin's mom responded to his questions according to the courtroom transcripts.
There were questions that were asked of you by Mr. Mesereau as to the amount of money that Louise Palanker gave to you or your family. Did you ever ask Louise Palanker for money?
No.
How many separate checks were turned over to your family by Louise Palanker?
It was 2 checks in the amount of $10,000.
All right. Were you present at the time either of those checks were written?
I wasn't present.
Were you present at either time the checks were given to you?
No.
Did you know in advance that David was going to be given that money?
No.
Did he discuss it with you in any way prior to him getting the money from Louise Palanker?
No.
Did you assist in cashing or depositing either of the 2 checks?
No.
Were you aware that one of them was written to you?
Yes.
Did you have to endorse that one, sign it?
Yes, I did.
There's been a lot of testimony so far about the clean room at your mother's house for Gavin while he was ill. The money that came to create that clean room came from where?
From Louise Palanker.
Did you have any conversation with Louise Palanker either before or after that check was given to you about how that check would be used?
No.
Were you given any money by Fritz Coleman?
No.
Did you ever ask for money from Fritz Coleman?
No.
Were you given any money by George or Ann Lopez?
No.
Did you ever ask for money from either George or Ann Lopez?
No.
Did you ever ask Jay Leno for money?
No.
Did you ever meet Jay Leno?
I've never met Jay Leno.
Did you ever have a telephone conversation with Jay Leno?
I've never had a telephone conversation with Jay Leno.
Were you ever present at the time your son made any telephone calls to Jay Leno or had a conversation with him?
No.
Oh, short, one-word answers from this witness? Oh, boy. On recross-examination, defense attorney Tom Mesereau jumps back to the incident at J.C. Penney, the department store.
Do you remember testifying at the station? You didn't show bruising, you showed marks, correct?
This is correct.
You said as days went by, they started getting darker and changing colors, you know, every day, every week, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
You said you had no black and blue marks prior to the incident, right?
Yes, this is correct.
When did you first go to a lawyer after this incident?
I think it was about a year later.
So a year after the incident, you changed your mind and decided you did want to sue, right?
That was too long ago, the question.
Well, during the time of the alleged events you described, you said you weren't going to sue anyone, and then you changed your mind, right?
There was a criminal proceedings. I was charged with crimes. I was charged with burglary, petty theft, assault and battery. That process took months, and those people needed to apologize.
So you only sued for an apology?
Yes, I did.
At one point, didn't your lawyers ask for millions of dollars?
No.
But you accepted $152,000, right?
No. In my hand, what I received was only about $32,000. That's it.
All right, Ricky, let me start with you off the top here. First of all, we know that the entire family receives about $152,000, even though she only gets a portion of that. How does Tom Mesereau get to go back to this area with respect to J.C. Penney's, that incident? And do we have an apology theme working here?
Well, let's start with the apology theme. It's very intriguing indeed that she has exactly the same pattern. She said she only wanted an apology from J.C. Penney. She said she only wanted an apology from Michael Jackson. She said she wasn't going to sue J.C. Penney, but she changed her mind. She is now saying she's not going to sue Michael Jackson. And I guess a woman has a right to change her mind.
Is that going to come back to bite him?
Yes, indeed. Now, in terms of going back to J.C. Penney, of course, anything that's reopened and redirect by the prosecutor can then be brought up by the defense attorney and recross. And the scene that happens at J.C. Penney, according to her testimony, is as preposterous as being taken away in the hot air balloon. She is molested, she says. She is tackled. She is has a number of men all around her. They are squeezing her nipples repeated times. Her breasts are exposed. Her children have to put them back. I mean, the scene could not possibly have happened.
The images that she creates when she describes this scene, it's so outrageous, so outlandish. There's no way the jurors could have heard that and believed it. It's impossible what she's saying happened to JCPenney. It just could not have happened the way she says it.
Yeah, Howard?
I missed that part in law school where you sued only for an apology and not for the money. So
She's
the lawyer
just a nice, kind person. She really doesn't care about money.
Not. Her credibility is really suspect from day one. But I think it's a double-edged sword, and I think she's so out there that a jury could give her some credibility.
And that's really the danger. Is she so out there that the jury may actually find some sympathy with this woman? I don't know. I guess anything's possible. Next. Did Janet ever wonder why so many celebrities were just hanging out with her and how her bank account kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger? And let's look.
You said you never asked anybody for financial help to assist Gavin, right?
Yes, this is correct.
Yet at the same time, you set up a bank account.
Is this a question or a statement you're starting right now?
Yet at the same time, you set up a bank account for Gavin's benefit with you being the signatory, correct?
Yes, I did follow David's instructions.
And you have no idea why anybody put any money into that account, correct?
This is correct.
You just saw the money there and withdrew it, right?
Yes, I was David's personal secretary.
Never asked the question of anybody. Where did this money come from, right?
That's correct.
Just assumed it was for you to withdraw, right?
No, I did what David told me.
And you said yesterday you couldn't remember what any of that money was spent on, right?
This is correct.
And you had no idea that Chris Tucker was going to wire some money into that account, right?
Yes, this is correct.
And all your discussions with your friend Aja Pryor, who was his fiancée, the issue of Chris Tucker giving money never came up, right?
This is correct. Like I testified yesterday, I didn't become friends with Aja until after David was completely out of the picture. While Gavin was sick, we hardly even spoke. The one I spoke most to was Ann Lopez.
And in your discussions with Ann Lopez, you never learned that George Lopez was planning to put together a fundraiser for Gavin, right?
Yes, this is correct.
And in all your discussions with Jamie Masada, you never learned that he was putting any fundraisers together for Gavin's benefit, right?
Yeah. That is correct.
And in any of your discussions with Fritz Coleman, you never learned that Fritz Coleman was helping to assist your family with Gavin's illness, right?
Yes, this is correct.
No one told you about any of this, right?
That's right.
Do you recall using any money that had been donated for Gavin's benefit on cosmetic surgery?
No, I used a credit card.
Was it your credit card?
Yes, my credit card, which is still outstanding.
I'm going to object as exceeding the scope of the redirect.
Sustained.
I think another theme is developing here. And as the recross-examination continues, defense attorney Tom Mesereau seems to suggest that this accuser's mom probably shouldn't look for any work in accounting.
Now, in response to the prosecutor's questions, you said that you never obtained any of the money from the first Louise Palanker check, correct?
Yes, this is correct.
That was a $10,000 check written to Janet, correct?
Yes.
Was that presented to you by David?
No.
Well, who presented the check to you?
I think this is how it went. I endorsed it, gave it back to David, and that was it.
You just said, excuse me, who gave you the check to begin with?
David had me endorse it, and that's it.
And you know...
I think so. That's how it happened.
Did you know David was going to deposit the check into your parents' account?
Now I understand. This is my understanding, that my mother cashed it for him.
You didn't know that was going to happen at the time?
No, I was with my 2 other kids.
Well, you saw a check for $10,000
Yes.
made out to Janet, correct?
Yes.
And you knew it was made out to you by Louise Palanker, correct?
Yes.
And you're saying that David asked you to endorse it but didn't tell you where it was going?
This is correct.
And you never knew until recently that it was deposited into your parents' account?
Yes, this is correct.
Howard, it seems that perhaps some twin themes are developing here. This issue of I don't know where the money's going, I'm not asking any questions, and I did what fill in the blank, whether it's the dad, it's Michael Jackson's people, or anybody else told me to do. Her lawyers, for example, and she has no responsibility for her conduct.
Yeah, she has no accountability at all. Interesting enough, if you look at yesterday's testimony and today's testimony, she didn't know anything that was going on. She did say, for example, Michael gave my boy alcohol, but she didn't know about it then. Yeah. She never mentioned, by the way, that Michael molested my son. So I'm not, again, sure what her value is. Here's what I do know. The prosecution has participated in the charade. They let this lady come into the courtroom with a hood over her head. They escort her in with the sheriff's deputy. It all lends to the circus atmosphere.
And you know what's amazing to me? The second that the cross-examination ended, if I was the prosecution, I would have said no questions. Get this lady out of here as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So
to give
Yeah.
Mesereau another opportunity to go at her, I can't believe they did that.
Yeah, but Ricky, do you fully agree really with Howard's assessment of prosecution participating in the charade? And although that's a little tongue-in-cheek, I'm sure, they have to think that there is something to
Oh, there is
what
no
this woman
question. There is
saying.
no question that Tom Sneddon and the people that he works with certainly believe this woman's story because they are also predisposed to believe it.
And even if they think she's a Looney Tune.
She can be a Looney Tune that bad things happen to. And we have to remember, and I say it over and over again, you have videotapes, you have audio tapes, you have tickets to Brazil, you have the furniture being moved out of their apartment. There is corroboration here. So, of course, the prosecution says she's whacked. But nonetheless, this does happen.
Doesn't
But
mean
you know
it
what,
didn't
James?
happen.
Even
Hold that
if
thought,
it's
Howard.
true,
Go ahead.
I don't know why they allege this conduct.
Well, and that's another issue. And we'll discuss that a little bit more as we go. Well, a case that once focused on pornographic evidence now turns to photographic evidence. It may be proof of abuse, but there are some wounds that no one can see, apparently. Stay with us.
The reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back. Like a bulldog with his favorite bone, defense attorney Tom Mesereau doesn't seem to want to let go of the mother's story about the J.C. Penney incident. You like that, did you, Howard? Yeah. Here's what the jurors heard according to the courtroom transcripts.
Do you remember telling the police when David was arrested that throughout your 16-year marriage, he had physically abused you?
Yes, finally I said something.
You told the police that he would hit you on all parts of your body, right?
Yes, he did.
You said he forced your head underwater, right?
Yes, he did.
You said he prevented you from wearing makeup, right?
That's correct.
And in a number of interviews with the police, you said he had beaten you throughout that marriage, right?
Yes, he did.
Yet, in the J.C. Penney case, you said none of your bruises or injuries had anything to do with David, right?
That's correct.
When you testified under oath in the J.C. Penney case that initially you weren't bruised, but as time went on, they got blacker and blacker. What did you mean?
Well, that I had, even though I did have visible abrasions, that even though these people had hit me, it wasn't immediate. I could see them.
Well, like I said, folks, like I said before, Tom Mesereau is not going to drop the story about the bruises, about the photos, about what happened at J.C. Penney.
Did your attorney have those photographs taken that the prosecutor introduced into evidence yesterday?
Yes.
You didn't go to a lawyer till a year later, right?
No, he's incorrect. Those photographs were taken immediately with the criminal court proceedings. That stuff, criminal case, whatever, had nothing to do with the civil case. I had those photos already. Well, actually, my defense attorney had those photos.
Who hired the photographer?
Actually, I think it was, I don't remember very clear. I don't remember very clear, but it was per the defense attorney's actions, ways. I don't know what you'd call it. Suggestion? I don't know.
It wasn't taken, excuse me, those photos were not taken by the police, correct?
This is correct.
They were taken at the direction of a lawyer, correct?
Yes, this is correct. A defense attorney, not a civil lawyer.
Where were those photos taken?
That I do remember. It's at a place in El Monte. I don't remember the name, but it's in El Monte.
Was it an office of a photographer?
No, it's actually one of those, like, 1-hour photo places.
Who took you there?
I think it was David. Yes, I think it was David.
Do you know when he took you there?
Immediately.
But didn't you testify in the deposition you didn't have these bruises immediately?
No. That's right. When the defense attorney had told us, then that's the time.
Sean Chapman-Holly, it seems that the defense theme, or rather the prosecution theme that helps the defense, continues here. Now it's the defense attorney who's responsible for the timing of the bruises.
Right.
Tell us why that's important.
Well, it's important because she contradicts herself on this bruising thing. First, she says that the bruises did show up immediately. Then she says they didn't show up immediately. The photo was taken initially and there were bruises, but did David cause the bruises or not? She says he didn't. Then she says he did. She says that makeup was covering the bruises. Then she says she didn't wear makeup. I mean, there are so many contradictions here, and I think Mesereau does an excellent job of pointing them out. Yet another reason why they shouldn't have given him another shot at her.
Yeah, that's got to be true, but it impresses me, and I'm sure it doesn't escape you all, that had she simply told the simple truth that the photographs were taken days after the incident at JCPenney's, because we all know from our experience that it takes a couple of days for bruises to materialize. They don't happen immediately, right?
She's in the throes of what the fabric of her story is, and she can't really
You put that so eloquently. You made that sound so good.
Thank you, and I wasn't even done because
also known as she's lying.
No, she's trying to find this thread, and you know what happens when you tell a story a number of different ways, you can't remember how you told it.
And that's going to be so interesting. Well, she made that sound good. I love Ricky.
Thank you.
In the throes of the fabric of, I can't even do it. As recross-examination continues, why does Mesereau revisit a certain call to a late-night legend?
Are you aware of Gavin telephoning Jay Leno at any time?
No.
Never heard anything about that?
No. I've heard now.
Did Gavin ever tell you, I tried to reach Jay Leno?
No.
Were you ever standing in the background during a phone call that Gavin made to Jay Leno?
No.
Have you ever spoken to Jay Leno?
I have never spoken to Jay Leno.
If I may take a moment, Your Honor, I'll be ready to wrap this up.
Yes.
Were you aware of Gavin making any attempt to contact celebrities by phone?
No.
To your knowledge, did Gavin ever try to contact any celebrity from your home?
No.
Did you ever contact any celebrity from your home?
No.
Did you attempt to contact any celebrities at any time?
No.
Next, apparently you don't have to be a movie star or even Sean Chapman Holly to have paparazzi hiding in your bushes. Assistant District Attorney Ron Zonin questioned the accuser's maternal grandmother about the media onslaught that we've heard so much about in our program note. Gavin's grandmother is a native Spanish speaker. She used an interpreter in the courtroom. What we're providing you with is the English translation of her testimony.
Do you know what it was that caused all of these reporters to come to your home?
Yes.
What was it?
The participation of the man, the involvement of that man.
All right. Did you...
They wanted to find out what I knew from news talk, but I didn't know anything. I found out later when I was watching all those reports, all those newscasts, everything.
At some point in time, did your children come to your home from Neverland?
Yes.
Did you do something to facilitate their coming to your home, to cause them to come to your home?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
I had to lie and say that I was ill so that they could come.
Well, who did you...
Because the children love me very much, because I raised them.
Okay. The children specifically, who was it who you told that you were sick?
The truth is, I don't remember. The one thing I know is that my children called me.
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Hara Weitzman, we can talk about the usefulness of this witness, and I want you to do that. But another thing that impresses me, connecting this witness to her daughter's testimony, Janet, they are the last ones to know about the molestation, apparently. Apparently the cops find out first. That's kind of interesting to me.
Well, it's kind of interesting, but it shows the mother wasn't paying attention. And you know, with the grandmother, one thing, and Ricky mentioned this during one of the breaks, why wasn't she asked about her conversation with Gavin relating to his sexual experiences? Something we heard about earlier.
That's an excellent point.
Well, it was Ricky's point, but
Ricky's
I
point.
thought I would bring it up.
We can steal in this show. Wait, you got to hold that to hold that till we come back. I got to go. When we return, more testimony from Gavin's abuela. That's grandmother for all you gringos out there. Was she the real head of the family? Stay with us.
reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back. Did Gavin's grandmother have to lie in order to see her grandchildren? Here's what she told the jurors according to the courtroom transcripts.
Were you, in fact, sick at the time?
No. Well, no. Well, yes. Actually, because I do have arthritis and thyroid problems and things.
All right.
High cholesterol. I mean, I can make you a longer list.
It's not necessary. Did they, in fact, come, the 3 children?
Yes.
Do you know if it was the same day or at a subsequent time, at a later time?
They called me in the afternoon. Later in the afternoon, that they call me and they say, Mom.
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled. You may complete your answer.
They call me Mom because they do call me Mom. So they asked me if I was sick. And I said yes, because I was. I was so desperate and I was anguished because I had seen them and I would get a heart attack from not seeing them.
And did they arrive that day or soon thereafter?
The following day, I believe, is when they came.
All right, time for final thoughts, everybody. But we have to keep in mind that the prosecutor announces we're going to be through by the end of next week. What do you make?
Well, it's the right time. He needs to shore it up, getting in those prior bad acts, cleaning them up, and dealing with the false imprisonment from people who work at Neverland. And then he brings it back to the heart of the case again.
Howard?
It's about time.
Past time, way past time.
How do you guys really feel about it? Come on.
You know what? There's enough evidence here if the jurors choose to believe that Michael Jackson committed these crimes.
Yes.
The waters have been muddied, and I'll be interested to see how they tie it up.
I think cross-examination has already created a reasonable doubt.
You think so?
Then you have both sides of it. What we have now is the situation of remembering what is the case about.
Yeah.
Do they believe Gavin or not?
That's the thing. Be sure to watch our exclusive coverage of the Michael Jackson trial each weeknight, 7:30, right here on E! How long is it going to take, folks? Stay with us.